Welcome, listener viewers, to Ikenfell, where I have a new microphone.
I was about to ask, Kyle. You sound extra buttery today.
I am incredibly buttery. Beautyricious. Marit's going through some shit.
Yep.
And we're about to talk to this raven.
Will you come, or will you remain here?
Can you return me home?
Nope. Your magic may be gone, young witch. But what lies ahead is for you as well. Let us depart. Whoa.
Didn't expect that.
Why do you have wings again? You clearly don't need them.
Whoa. That was wild. Where are we?
We are deep in the woods, far from your school. This is where Ikenfell once stood, 1,000 years ago. Or something quite like it.
A 1,000 years ago? I had no clue Ikenfell was so old. But why have you brought us here?
I had a feeling that'd be the answer.
I had no idea this place existed. I haven't been this excited in a long time. Come on, let's look around. Ah, kitty. I am actually thinking about switching out Petronella for... not Petronella. Patricia for Petronella. So I'm gonna do that.
Kyle, you're not licking every tree.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Shame.
So, look behind the curtain. I recently had to replay a bunch of Ikenfell because of a recording loss, and I'm used to just speed running.
No, you're fine. Also, up
Man,
top right, it looked like we might have a way to go through.
Cool.
So here's something. Everything is duller and grayer, kind of similar to when we see the memories. God, I'm just wondering. So, right, they say that it's it replicates things, but how is replicating anything a bad thing, and what exactly is it replicate? Like there's still so much that I'm like wondering about.
Well, are you at all familiar with the Grey Goose scenario?
What?
Oh, I was so busy paying attention to that I didn't actually pay attention to my attack. The Grey Goose scenario, it's a sci-fi sort of trope.
Apparently I am not.
Okay. So it primarily surrounds nanomachines. It is one of my biggest existential fears, by the way. So the idea is that we will invent nanomachines that will be self-replicating, and be able to break down things, ad infinitum.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the problem: is the fear that at one point we will say, "Hey, nanomachines, make paperclips," but we'll forget to tell them to stop making paperclips, and so then they will just keep making paperclips out of everything, forever.
Oh.
And so that's a worry.
So I guess the big question is, what is this thing replicating?
This forest is a place of secrets. If you believe everything you see, you're just a different kind of blind.
Well, okay then.
That's what you just said. Thanks.
Look, are you gonna tell us how to get our shit or not?
It doesn't appear that I can go anywhere else yet.
There might be another way around, or there might be another thing that looks like a door that isn't. I don't know. It's a spoopy area.
Wait. No.
What
Ooh.
this?
Laser fence. Store. You shouldn't be here. But for the right price, I don't see nothing. Ooh. An old troll. So now we're gonna have a staff tied to a wand, tied to a glow stick, tied to a fire poker, tied to a knife.
Oh, there's more stuff.
These are expensive.
Yeah, but they're more advanced than what we've had. You know, not gonna lie, I felt a little bad about selling our knife.
Yeah. Now is the time, though.
Yeah. We feel, at least I feel like we're getting so close to everything hitting, you know?
Yeah. Not too far. That'll let us buy 2 more. Oh, we already have one on Ima. We'll get that fairy spade for Petronella. And we already have
Petronella,
a glitter baton for Gilda. We have enough for one more.
Can I just...
Perticia.
Well, hold on a second. I'm just glad that we are, you know... That Petronella started, if I remember right, with a proper wand, and we have upgraded her from proper wand to hitting people with a shovel.
Good point. I didn't even catch that.
So we have gone from, with Marie, we've gone from a pocket knife to a wizard staff, effectively. And with Petronella, we have gone from a wand to a shovel. And I love it. Okay, so we're between Rook and who now?
Perticia.
Rook and Perticia. Which one gives us better stats?
It's the same.
It's
I mean, like,
same?
it'll bring Perticia's power up higher than Rook's, but it's the same number point difference.
Yeah.
But we've been using Perticia a lot lately, so I'm thinking Rook's probably next on the rotation.
That makes sense. I mean, Perticia is already a pretty naturally heavy hitter anyway, so giving Rook some extra power, especially since he uses traps, might be helpful to us.
Let's do that.
I said he.
Rook does use he, him pronouns.
Yeah. I'm just like wondering which pronouns to. Oh, okay. I'm like trying to be extra careful about the pronouns because the last time or the time before, Rook said, I guess I'll just continue to use he, if that's correct.
Yeah. I confirmed Rook uses he, him pronouns, but identifies as non-binary.
Yeah. I'm trying to be, correct about that. A lot of times, if I am not sure, I will use they.
Yeah.
As a catch-all.
I mean, you have, what am I doing? Right. I mean, at this point, I'm still using the pronouns I was born with, and you're not. So, like, I feel like you have somewhat more, you're better at this.
I wouldn't actually say I'm much better. It's still an adjustment against something that I was raised with. It's just a realization that, hey, just because you were raised with it doesn't make it right.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I've been, especially when I'm like telling a joke or something, and I'm just using my name. Like I have used the wrong pronouns and wrong name on myself, and like it stings. It stings extra hard when I do it myself because like then I notice immediately, and it's just like I've gotten used to saying the line more than actually paying attention to the content of the line. So it's this weird like mental gap. It's so strange. I've told you about this, but like I've had to like practice it, and I've I've taken to, sometimes I'll journal in third person just to like kind of try and cover that gap for my own brain. But I'm someone who like I have this underbite, and I care a lot about the way that I say things, and so I've taken special care to train myself how to say, how to talk about myself, and how to say my dead name without like slurring it or anything like that. And it's like, oh, it's like I have to retrain in a different way than I think a lot of people have to. It's a whole weird thing. Ooh, we got look at them
Those
heels.
are some fancy boots.
They look like they are probably meant for Patricia. Not gonna lie, just because they look glassy in the color. So that looks like they'll be a big. Oh really? Oh no. So they're better on. They're better on Ima.
Let's just do that because I'm really liking Ima.
That's because Z's fucking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Something. I'm not sure if I mentioned it in a previous recording session or not, but like, there's also like I'm so lost right now.
Yeah. It's weird. In fairness, we did get a little bit of a warning. Might have mentioned it in a previous
recording session.
What? Oh wait, do you just not go the direction you think you're going?
Pretty much. Like there's appears to be blocks. Like it's a maze. So like there's an imaginary maze that you can't see because of the trees. Think of it that way.
So interesting. Well, we still didn't figure out how to go to the furthest down one. Oh,
Yeah.
more boots. Gosh, they're
More boots.
ramping us up for something, and I'm kind of scared.
That's a lot.
Yes, it is.
I don't think we've upgraded Petronella's boots in a while.
No, I don't think
there's a
I
little arrow pointing downward. It's pointing to something. Okay. Right. So. Sparkly. Your name change and so many boots. That's less movement but more power and more speed, which I'm gonna give to oh my god, your name change and pronoun change has led to something in my like. Oh man, it's so confusing. Okay, so I can go into this tree line, but I don't know
where you come out.
if I even can come out anywhere. Yeah, okay. This is confusing.
This feels like the kind of challenge that I would like if we weren't recording.
Yeah. I mean,
like,
especially with the edits I've made because of the footage error. I think some of the wandering around might get cut. We'll see.
that's fine. Okay, so
Right,
you were saying
okay,
about the name
so-
change.
Yeah, I am now second guessing myself every time I use any like name or pronoun, including my own. I'm just like, wait. Okay, yeah, no, I use he, him. And I find that hilarious.
I mean, that's probably a good thing.
I agree. And I'm like, I'm starting to get faster at it too, so.
Uh-huh.
Like, 'cause that's what I've wanted, because like I always assume, and I like there's no reason to assume, and I always assume wrong, so like.
Yeah. Well, okay, so in explaining this to our families, Lauren and I have found ourselves having to explain exactly what gender encompasses to people.
Mm-hmm.
Because like they're okay, aside from it being just completely a stupid Western social construct, like there are basically three aspects to this, right? You have physical sex, but you also have identity, so how you actually feel, and you have expression, which is, you know, how are you going to speak? How are you going to hold yourself? What are you going to wear? Your interests, like stuff like that. So like it's this multifaceted thing that people don't necessarily understand, and they also like get it confused with sexuality. And it's like, well, you can't actually tell the majority of that. You don't know what someone's sexuality, which is again separate from gender identity, is just by looking at them. You don't know how they identify, and you might be able to tell how their expression, but frankly, if they're gender non-conforming, then you can't really rely on that either. So at the end of the day, when it comes to gender identity, like, it is frankly something that you, like, no one should ever assume about anyone. It should be something that we just, oh, there's another arrow.
I noticed, but that
Okay.
was the way we came from. You can't always dwell on the past. Eventually, you have to look towards the future, lest it never come. Maybe the arrow is telling us to go opposite of where we're supposed to go.
Maybe.
But
Those look a lot like the memory
Unless-
crystals.
it does, but okay, it's glowing now.
There's probably another one somewhere. No, yeah, so it's one of those things
Wait,
that,
no,
like,
that's not the way we came from.
really does just need to be normalized, and that like we just need to ask people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Okay, so now that works. It didn't work
so
before.
it's opening up a shortcut.
I guess, or maybe it makes the trees work differently. Also, I hear the sparkling of a rear gem.
Yeah, so do I.
There it is.
Ooh, earrings.
Quartz earrings. A lot of defense, a lot of speed, less power.
Is there anyone who has exclusively buffs to it?
That's not exclusive, but that's pretty good and more akin to what I use Petronella for. So.
Awesome. So that let us.
Let's go back to all the places we went and now see if it's easier to
Access? Yeah. There's that part at the bottom right.
Yeah,
That's when I'm like
I see.
trying to figure out how we get there.
I'm lost again. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, nope, still can't.
Maybe we need to go around and down? Or like, sorry, like around and like come back up to it from somewhere?
I don't think I could go through that before.
Yeah. Oh, is there a chest down there on the right?
I think I saw one.
Yeah. Gosh, I know right now we're just basically dealing with a little bit of a maze, but like I'm still just tense thinking about like what's, because it's clear that like big stuff is about to happen, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering how it's gonna play out. I'm excited. It's like we've got the whole group together now. We're like just waiting to see
How it all plays out.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, I'm still not convinced that Saf is bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I
don't know what the deal is. Like, we haven't gotten to hear everything about what she's found. We've just known that everyone has tried to get in our way and get in her way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's been a lot of talking about how she's going to destroy everything, but it's like, okay, well, how is it going to destroy everything? And frankly, does the current system need to be destroyed? Because clearly there's this big gap between, you know, your ordinaries, which is again like viewed like a dirty word, and you know, your normal mage folk and the witches, and so like something is up. There's this really big inequality.
So, one thing I have noticed is Saf very much feels like the Harry Potter of this world, compared to, you know, the Harry Potter world,
Yeah.
but like viewed from I would say a more like reasonable lens of like kind of a dick.
Yeah. Oh,
like, yeah.
I read Harry Potter as an adult. I didn't read it as a kid. I read it as an adult, and I was just so annoyed the entire time.
Yeah, 'cause he's a bit of a jock, and it's really kind of frustrating.
Yeah, no, it really is. And like I read it, and like the whole time I was just like, this would be so much better if Hermione was the main character.
Yeah.
It's like, he's so stupid. No. But the difference here is that like Saf is not only incredibly talented, but she is clearly intelligent. But although she gets, you know, she teases people, I don't think she doesn't she still doesn't strike me as malicious. The
Yeah,
way that
I'm not saying malicious, but definitely a like troublemaker.
yeah.
Um,
I keep thinking.
but
Oh, sorry. You go.
so I think about that cutscene we had a little while ago, about like Rook and her, like that led to her kiss with Rook.
Yeah.
And specifically, Aura. That's probably a good heal. So specifically, her kiss with Rook. That was just after they had dealt with some, like, thing that affected the school, like a possession thing.
Oh.
Is success worthwhile if you trample others in pursuit of it? Folks who look too far ahead often don't see who they're hurting now. Interesting.
Huh.
Oh.
Oh.
And here's that place.
Yay. Can we go back through it, by the way? Let's just verify. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, it's shortcuts. It's shortcuts, effectively.
Mm-hmm. But how we've seen with Pertitia is that, all right, so they just dealt with this thing, like clearly had stopped a problem with the school that had been harming students for God knows how long.
Mm-hmm.
But had probably caused a lot of trouble in doing so.
Mm-hmm.
And as we've seen with Pertitia, like, oh, okay, so every time we trigger one of those, one of these lasers goes away.
Okay, that means we just got 2 more.
Yeah, I'm gonna check back over here real quick. Okay, still won't let me.
It's probably
So,
after we get past that gate.
That's kind of what I thought too.
Yeah.
But yeah, clearly, like, well, I don't think Saf is malicious, as you said. I do think she is selfish and probably doesn't take other people into account.
Mm-hmm.
Party face, that looks awesome. That's
Yes.
a hat, I'm assuming. Yeah, okay, defense, less speed. Well, more it's different. I do not want to lower Gilda's power. Less life, more power.
It's kind of
Nope.
iffy across the board.
Whoops. Yeah, doesn't actually work for us. Bummer.
Dang. Oh.
Look at that mushroom.
Yeah, it's weird.
What does this do? Regenerative aura.
Change is one of those weird things that always it hurts people, and it's a matter of how it's done and whether you minimalize that and whether the pain is worth everyone else's. And like clearly, like Saf doesn't always judge that appropriately. But that doesn't mean that that's wrong in this particular case. And at the end of the day, we just don't know. We don't have all of the information. But we do know that Eldra and the rest of the Coven have been hiding this the entire time, and that's not okay either. So something needed to happen, and clearly they weren't going to let it happen. So, like, Saf did, like, she talked to other people before formulating a plan to destroy this. So, like, it's clear that she actually was trying to do the right thing, and even in the right order here. And that's the part that makes me think that, okay, if someone were just if she was just trying to be malicious, then she wouldn't have done that. She wouldn't have taken other steps. She would have jumped the gun straight into, I'm going to destroy this. I'm not going to talk to anyone else about it. Like, you know, there wouldn't have been a second thought. And there was.
Yeah.
Typically...
That's why I think it's less likely that... Oh.
Yeah, typically if you're doing something good, although you don't need to shout it to the heavens, you don't need to hide it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part that rubs me the wrong way about what Eldra and the Coven are doing. So I'm waiting to see exactly what it is. And waiting to see who's looking toward the past more and who's looking toward the future more and who's thinking about the present most. And ultimately, it's probably going to have to be some sort of fusion between the different ideas of, say, our party now and the reflections on what we've been trying to find out this entire time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm just not having good luck with Ima this particular encounter.
I mean, at least we're just down to one enemy, so.
Yeah.
Sword burp. I mean, at least it bounced off of you as opposed to, you know, impaling you. Bouncy swords.
But yeah, I find it incredibly unlikely that, like, Saf isn't the villain of this story.
Yeah.
I'm pretty certain of that. If there is even a villain, really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that gets back to something that we've seen in this game and that we've talked about, is that typically, and this isn't always the case, but a lot of times you're looking at...
This is a big new spell level.
Yeah. A lot of times we're looking at just viewing other people as people and trying to understand why they're doing what they're doing. And so we don't understand all of why Saf is doing what she's doing, nor all of why Eldra and the Coven are doing what they're doing. We do know that, you know, as we've reflected on before, the reasons can be good, they can be understandable, or they can be to perpetuate really bad ideas. So, like, looking at gender norms in the U.S., which, you know, they've clearly challenged here. Like, why those have been maintained. And despite how it might be harder for some people, that ultimately it's still the better thing to do. That is to challenge it and change what is considered normal anymore. There's just so much to it. It's a multifaceted problem that requires a lot of perspective, and I'm actually thinking that, you know, Ikenfell is doing a pretty good job of exploring. Because it's demonstrating, okay, no, you don't know everything at once. You have to work to learn.
I'm very curious as to this ability.
Which thing? Whoa. Okay.
That's cool. Oh, that does raises your speed a ton. Huh. Damage all enemies, heal all allies. Must do both. Interesting.
That's probably better if we're all clumped up.
Yeah.
Oh.
Finally got that to work. I've been trying to use that ability all episode and never actually pulled it off.
I'm just so eager. I'm so eager. And especially with my own journey, like, I I am such a sponge for seeing other people's reflections on gender and social change. And like I can't help but be somewhere in the middle of knowing that change needs to happen and pushing for it, and at the same time just perpetually wondering how much of that change I'll get to see and experience the benefits of in my own lifetime. It's a whole thing.
Something I saw recently that changed my own thoughts on how how my thoughts on gender are developing. Simply just the idea that, like, okay, I personally like the idea of gender anarchy, but the idea of gender is actually important to a lot of people, including trans people.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, thinking it less as, okay, like, I can say gender anarchy all I want because it's a snappier thing to say, but thinking of it less as a death to gender and more a death of gender roles, if that makes sense. Like a need to be a particular gender.
Yeah.
Based on
there isn't necessarily a need, and people shouldn't be judged. At the end of the day, people are people, and whatever labels that we choose for ourselves that make us more comfortable and affirm things in our identity, that's the purpose of the thing. Nothing more, nothing less.
I've been doing all these. You want to do one?
Well, I think that's actually one that you had before, but I can say it. I wish I was pretty, like a flower.
I don't think they're all the same ghost, even if they use the same sprites.
Yeah, I know. But at this point, my brain just sees Ghost and it immediately thinks, Kyle doing this voice. Oh. What have we here?
So
well, first we should get the
thing,
thing.
and that was another shortcut.
All right.
Actually, I want to... Okay.
No, we can't.
Actually
Yeah.
go that direction.
It looked like we could. All right. So that gives us another thing. We Okay, we're on the last one, right?
Yeah.
You don't think we can just step over that one?
Just get ready for a big old jump.
Just yeah, like no big. No? Okay. I guess we'll just keep looking around then.
Just keep wandering around, licking every rock, hugging every tree.
I'm trying to think of okay, where else haven't we gone? We've gone left.
Well,
we've
we
gone
did
down.
actually see the other one already.
Yeah, right. Oh, right.
Maybe
Yeah,
it was
we
this
did.
direction.
Huh. I'm so curious as to see how this game pans out and what at the end of the day its ultimate kind of moral of the story is. I think about how Ivy has reflected on this on this game and how it took a toll on their health, but I also know that they did that because they cared about it, right? And so they cared about the message, and I know that their identity as being non-binary and how they've reflected, like when we've talked about how that has affected the way that they work and you know, still always being perceived as the femme and everything. Like there's a lot of ways that that's affected the way that they work and the projects that they choose and the way that they conduct themselves. And so it means something, and they clearly cared about it, and so like I'm trying to think about what this all means, because this game it's reflective of what they feel and of what everyone else who worked on it feels. And ultimately, to me, that means someone else or a lot of other people in the same communities and going through a lot of the same struggles that I'm dealing with right now feels. And presumably, you know, someone who's had a good deal of time not only to think about it, but to formulate thoughts and put them into this, you know, like there's so much that's here, and so much that's happening behind the scenes, and so much that they clearly want for society, and I am anxiously awaiting to witness their message in totality. And I probably sound like a broken record, but like it's just what is on loop in my brain right now. This looks special.
I am, yeah, it does. And there's also there we go. Just had to press A around literally every, thing.
Kind of reminds me, it might have been like
light, power speed. Ooh, Marie.
Glass cannon it up.
Yeah. Where it's gonna do so much damage but die immediately.
Yep. Oh my gosh.
I'm reminded of a comic, but I am completely forgetting the comic's name. So that's great. But it is very LGBTQ and gender friendly, and I remember something they were talking about is that like there is a particular like their main character uses they them pronouns. I would say art-wise, like in the physical features, looks very femme, but dresses very masc. And there was a point in the story where, like, I think they met their, like, the audience was shown to their birth family or something along those lines. I'll be honest, I'm not caught up on the comic. But what I remember is the discourse was a lot of fans of the comic were kind of worried that, or not even worried, but like were theorizing that, you know, it was going to go into a plot line about the character's gender identity. And the creator was very much like, actually, no, what's happening here with how, you know, their birth family is now making them dress and stuff like that. I want this to be more about the societal status rather than gender. In my world, gender identity is just like, that's normal. I don't want to write a story about, you know, where people are struggling to be the gender they perceive themselves as. And I thought that was kind of cool. Like, did that make sense?
It did. Okay,
that's kind of how Ikenfell is too. Like, no one bats an eye at anyone's pronouns.
Yeah. It's demonstrating the ideal. At the same time, I do think it's actually important to showcase that, like, you know, because of the social constructs that we have, that's what makes it a bit more difficult, both to realize these things about one's own identity and to then enact them confidently, you know, and just be authentic. I mean, you can just, you spend so many years doing something that's not you that, you know, it takes a hot second to one, realize that it's not you, and two, like, question, okay, well, what exactly is me then?
Ooh, let's see what pigment does. Oh. Well, that would probably be very cool if I didn't fuck it up.
Oh. Hello. Prize medal?
Prize medal. That's probably a sellable coin, as the same story. Oops, wrong way.
Or it could be something that's wearable.
It's not.
Just
yeah.
wanted to check. Worth a nice sum of gold. Yeah, it's there's this balance between displaying realism and the ideal. That's something that I really tried to learn a lot more from Steven Universe, actually. Like, before that, I just could not write a happy story to save my life, and what Steven Universe demonstrated was that no, you show the trauma. You show the trauma, and then you show that it doesn't have to be that way, and you show the change. And that was, to me as a writer and as a person, such a valuable lesson. And that you can do both. Like, you can show both. And in a way that makes it more special, because you know the meaning behind this thing that should be taken for granted.
One thing about Steven Universe, some would say Undertale, I would also attribute it to this game, is the term hope punk. I'm not sure if it came up last recording or not, sorry, but I've definitely been thinking about, like, that, because it was a term that never really stuck around, but I personally really liked it. That idea that, like, in a world that is awful, choose to be kind.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we've...
And
I don't think it came up in the episode. I think we have talked about it in the Sakaga Discord, but other than that...
Makes sense. I really like this laser beam Gilda ability. And that's something, like, my own work. Well, if you know anything about me, I have a flair for the melancholy. So my stuff doesn't necessarily, like, I try and have there be catharsis to the darkness in my stories.
Right. Yeah, you've talked about this before. That, like, the way that you tend to view it is that you're effectively supposed to ferry your audience through, you know, all of the darkness, and then, you know, return them safely on the other side.
Yeah, and that was actually, I can't attribute, that quote was an Amanda Palmer quote, but,
yeah, but
it
like,
was one that really
as a
stuck out
mission,
to
it
me.
still stands, and it doesn't mean that you can't take it on
Yeah.
as your own, like, in that way. But it's good to give the credit.
But yeah, like, I like stories that make me, I mean, like, for lack of a better term, that make me feel bad. Because it sort of brings me back into, okay, that's just better. It lets me process my own feelings and emotions, and in feeling them helps me feel them better and more productively. And does that? I'm babbling, I feel.
No, I mean you're making sense. So effectively, it gives you the reflective tools that you need to actually gain a fuller perspective of what you feel, why you feel it, and hopefully what you can do about that. No, that's a lot of the stuff that I try and work with rhetoric, although in a less directed and more just lifestyle-y way, I guess. And that, the whole thing is to create contextualized frames of perspective and understanding, knowing how people analyze and see and understand the world around them using, logic and emotion and, just everything. So, that makes sense to me.
I was gonna say, what sucks is this particular dungeon is hella long, and we're having a really great conversation, but some of it's probably just gonna have to go.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, you shouldn't have to you'll just cut out entire chunks and stuff.
Oh yeah, I've learned a lot about video editing. Let me tell you how.
The parts that we're babbling, they'll just gone.
Mr. Snip Snip.
Yeah, I need to work on my video editing.
It's hard. It's a skill.
Yeah. Well, it's a skill, and having the tools makes a difference too. I have very minimal tools right now, and so doing the latest episode of SFM, so friggin' hard. I need to look into other software that will make it easier for me to actually edit video.
I am using an old version of Adobe Premiere before they made all the new versions subscription based. Well, actually no, I think it's even 2019, so they still do that. I'd look into it because it was pretty cheap. It was, I don't know, between $30 and $50, I think.
I will look into shit because I would definitely benefit from from improving what I'm using for video editing. Just to make it easier to do more complex things. Because I feel like some of the ways that I have to edit my videos are harder than they need to be. Also, we've finally got all that opened up.
Last time. Yeah.
I say.
Oh.
I think we have reached the end of
this. We got it opened up to the
this episode, just mega episode.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna have to go ahead and end this one for now. We'll see you all in the next one, everyone.
Lates. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, that stuff. You can find other ways to support Kyle in the link below, but don't forget to check out my stuff at Rhetorical Answers. Remember, a little goes a long way, even if it's just sharing with friends. Thanks again. Lates.